I, male 39, have 4 children, and we value large family get-togethers and vacations. We have 200 photographs all around the house, with memories we have with families, friends. My sister-in-law, 37, and her husband are very close with us, and hung out most weekends. They were our best friends, and my children's closest family. They'd hang out and play iPad games or let the kids have the makeover, etc. Things didn't work out for them, and they divorced amicably maybe 3 years ago. We're hosting a Mother's Day brunch at my house tomorrow. Her 3-year-old boyfriend texted me that he had seen my sister-in-law with her ex in one of the family pictures. He said that he had asked my sister-in-law to talk with my wife and was extremely offended that the picture was still up weeks later. That talk happened, and my wife explained that them splitting up doesn't stop her ex from being my best friend and our child's closest uncle. We didn't think it right to whitewash family memories and remove all pictures with the two of them in it. He said until we can reach a respectful understanding of each other, count him out on brunch. I went to look at the offending pic myself. It's an 8x10 that my mother-in-law paid to have taken on Easter 6 years ago, with her and father-in-law in the foreground, and her 4 children, and any of their spouses, dogs, and their children. The ex is holding my daughter, 3, with her head on his shoulder. It's with a few pictures and matching frames on a table with some candles that match it all. Things aren't the smoothest between him and some members of our family, but I try to be diplomatic and we try to respect my sister-in-law's choices. I could find some other picture to swap into that spot, but 1. There are a few other pictures with the two of them together that he just hasn't noticed yet. 2. It's at least a little bit of a pain to find the same-sized picture that makes sense. I looked for an easy switch, but the upstairs pictures are more just children portraits. It'd be out of place to move it more out of sight. 3. It's my house. I had to look closely to find what he was upset about. I feel like he can just not look at it if he doesn't like it. But I think it's more than that for him. He hasn't received the warmest of receptions, and I'm sure to him, that picture is a symbol of us rejecting him. We haven't talked yet, so he's out tomorrow, and I'm okay with that, but I'm more thinking long-term. It will hurt my mother-in-law's feelings if my sister-in-law continues to skip family get-togethers for weak excuses. I could switch the pictures, but I think that would not go over well. I think my wife would talk to her mom, sister network about how petty she's being, and that would further ostracize him. So my plan is to talk with him, and let him know why I'm not taking the picture down and hope he can understand the situation. I don't think he will agree. Before I have the talk though, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. I wouldn't even explain it. It's a picture of a family memory. If he's so insecure that he can't handle having a picture of something that happened before he was on the scene, he's got bigger problems. Not the a-hole. Long story short, it's your house, and you can have any picture up you want. Your wife has already explained why you won't change it, so I think you've done all you can. I wouldn't have a talk with him. Just keep the pics up. You mentioned him saying you wouldn't go to the brunch, but does that mean your sister-in-law won't either? I would leave it to the sister-in-law to tell her mother-in-law why she wouldn't come. What about the other homes? You say you have a big family. Are there problematic pics in those households too? Is the boyfriend going to police all your homes? Not the a-hole. He really needs to be more respectful. Kicking up a fuss about something like this is a surefire way to ensure her family doesn't like him. Also, what if your sister-in-law dumps him? My daughter, 12, was recently involved in a performance at a small-town festival. My ex, 12's father, and his new fiancé, their infant son, and her other child also attended the event. The plan was that my daughter and I would leave together after the event. We all had a good time watching, but when it was time to go, I noticed my ex was carrying the brand new backpack I just bought for my daughter for school. I asked my ex if that was her backpack, thinking I would need to collect it to take it with us when we left. He told me it was our daughter's backpack, but that he and new fiancé are using it as a diaper bag for their new baby. This really bothered me. I work hard to buy things for my daughter. What kind of adults just use a 12-year-old's things for themselves instead of getting their own diaper bag? On that note, I should add, the new fiancé hasn't worked in close to a decade and pretty much lives off of everyone else. It really bothered me. In short order, my ex and his fiancé watched my happy demeanor turn terse quickly. He told me we're just borrowing it, and the new fiancé jumped in to say in front of everyone, including the kids, "Why, is that a problem for you? You're being absolutely ridiculous." And under her breath, "Some people are just crazy," while walking away, but loud enough for my daughter to hear it. I walked away without saying anything, but shortly after I ended up talking to my ex, insisting that he and his new family stop taking our daughter's things. And ultimately, I told both of them they need to get their own diaper bag. We've been arguing since, with my ex telling me that my daughter has plenty of bags, and this shouldn't be a big deal, and that they share everything. The few people who know about this are split. Some are telling me to give them grace, and others agree that the things I get for my daughter belong to her. So I'll ask you, am I the a-hole for telling them to stop taking my daughter's things and to get their own diaper bag? Edit. Info. I gave them a generous cash gift for the birth of their new child as a token of my goodwill, only to be treated this way about the stuff I buy for my daughter. We also don't involve the courts in our family business, as we can work things out ourselves. It's not always pleasant or perfect, but we try to be flexible. New fiancé can piss me off though. 12 doesn't seem to be bothered about it, but I have to stand up for her since she's in the middle of this. Not the a-hole. They can use one of the other bags if they are that strapped for cash. Not the a-hole. That is your daughter's school bag. How gross that her father and his new girlfriend would steal it from her. Not the a-hole. Your ex and his family don't share anything. They take things you have purchased for your daughter and use them as their own. That's not sharing, it's coveting. Your ex should be ashamed he's helping himself to a 12-year-old's belongings. I, 30 female, have been asked by my paternal aunt, Sally, to let my cousins, Adam, fiancé, Beck, wear a sapphire brooch on their wedding that was left to me when my grandmother passed away. For context, I'm the only granddaughter, and we were very close. At 18, I moved in with her to take care of her whilst she was dying, so that she could stay in her home. Before she passed, she told us to pick any items that we wanted. My aunt said she didn't want any of her jewelry, as it was ugly and tacky. So Nona left all her jewelry to me, except a few rings for the boys in case they wanted to propose with one. The brooch had been a gift from my granddad, and she wore it on their wedding day, and she told me she hoped I would wear it at my wedding day, my something blue. Sally never wanted to wear it. Sally is a difficult woman. She can be very nasty and selfish. When Nona was dying, she refused to attend appointments with her or care for her. When she lost all her hair from chemo, Sally told her it was embarrassing to go out with her when she wasn't wearing a wig or scarf. When her hair grew back, it came back vibrant white, and Sally said she looked horrific with her pixie cut. My Nona was devastated, but I loved her new hair. I thought it was so cool. So I took her to get a violet toner, and she looked so incredible. Best of all, she loved it and felt so confident. Just before she died, she was rushed to the hospital and we weren't sure if she would make it. My dad was in the middle of a bloody jungle for work, so we were scrambling to get him home quickly. Sally was no help in the situation and didn't want to visit Nona, so I was responsible for every decision until my dad could get home. I have a daughter now, and she wore the brooch for her baptism. It will eventually be hers, and I've considered putting it on a chain so she could wear it as a pendant. I just feel really hesitant about lending it to someone for whom it holds no sentimental value. Beck never met my Nona, and Sally had her chance to ask for it before Nona died. She hasn't directly asked me, just my dad. This is because she thinks he will just make me give it to Beck. I know he would have my back if I said no, but she has already been very aggressive about this situation. I don't want him to get into an argument with his only sibling because of me. All of a sudden, she's decided it holds sentimental value when she used to have it. I'm probably paranoid, but she's manipulative and calculated, and I feel she will forget to return it. It's something that was really special for my Nona, and to me. I just don't feel comfortable with it. My dad's parents never got to meet my husband or kids, so having these items is how I keep them connected to my new family. Honestly, the thought of lending it just makes me cry. So, am I the a-hole, and am I just being silly? Or should I go with my gut and say no? Not the a-hole. Please say no. I have no doubt that the brooch will disappear if it goes anywhere near Aunt Sally. Also, make sure you keep it in a safe location so that it doesn't find its way into Aunt Sally's people. Not the a-hole. Nope, it was given to you. You can decide if you want to loan it out. She will most definitely forget to return it, or lie and say she misplaced it. The way she spoke about Nona would be the only reason I would need to say no. Not the a-hole. Stand your ground. She doesn't get to have anything that was given to you because she now decides she wants someone to wear it. She thought it was ugly and was extremely rude and heartless to a sick, dying woman. Her mom, if I'm understanding correctly. How dare she even ask to borrow it? Honestly, this makes me sick. Do not let anyone make you change your mind. You will not get it back. This situation is really stupid, but it's causing problems for my family. I honestly don't think I've been an a-hole, but general opinion seems to be against me. My sister, who took her husband's surname, Farmer, when she married, is pregnant. She's recently announced that they plan to name him Sherlock. I assume this was some bizarre joke because, well, you cannot name a baby Sherlock. But it turns out they're serious. I told her that admiration for a famous person or character isn't a reason to name someone. I admire Dick Van Dyke, but I wouldn't saddle a child with that name because I'm not psycho. She argued that Sherlock was different because it wasn't offensive. I said that her son would find it pretty offensive when he was being picked on for it in high school. I love my sister, and I know it's not really my business what she names her kid, so I kept my comments jokey and light and didn't push it. But seriously, she just can't. Later that night, I created a collage of Jeremy Brett, Johnny Lee Miller, and Bindi Lit Crumple Patch planted in a field, being tended by a baby in a hat, and sent it to her with the caption, Sherlock Farmer. I thought it was kinda cute and funny, but might make her second guess her bizarre choice. Instead, she called me screaming that I'm evil, have no right to judge her choices, that her husband's entire family are going to hear about how I mocked their surname, which was in no way my intention, and I'm no longer her sister until I can learn not to be a judgmental a-hole. I've apologized for my poor taste in humor. I've deleted the pic. I've made it clear that I wasn't mocking the surname Farmer, and still she won't talk to me. I've dropped it, because I don't wish to further upset a pregnant person, but I really don't think I was in the wrong. I guess that's why she won't forgive me. So, tell me, am I wrong here? Do I need to change my way of thinking? Quick edit, as I'm seeing several people saying I should have minded my own business. Her exact words during the name announcement were, "We're calling the baby Sherlock. What do you think? Won't that be cute?" In my view, that means she invited my opinion. Also, my sister and I have always had a teasing, bantering relationship. We're Welsh. It's what we do. Creating joke memes isn't unusual for us, nor is dark humor. The day after my 10-year relationship ended, she sent me a pack of antihistamines and an advert for kittens, with the message, "You'll have to get over your allergies, or you're gonna die alone." I laughed. Second edit. Okay, this is where I'm at. I've read every message, and I get that I'm a bit rubbish. I didn't mean to be, but I failed to realize that my relationship with my sister is different now. It used to be that we were family, but now she's making her own family, and I don't get the same say I used to. I'm a peripheral person now. What I meant as a joke to my sibling, intended to make her see my viewpoint, was instead interpreted as an attack on her new family and her choices. Viewed that way, I have a lot of making up to do. You're the a-hole. Here's the thing. She may have asked for your opinion, so you gave it. It should have been left at that. Instead, you took it upon yourself to further insult and make fun of your future nephew. You made it your business to go out of your way to hurt your sister after it was made clear to you that she was hurt, offended by your initial comments. Learn to read the room. You didn't need to further carry this one, but you chose to, and that makes you a serious a-hole. Even if they do end up changing the name, your sister will never forgive you for going this far to insult her and her husband about their child. This is coming from someone with an unusual name that was occasionally made fun of, who still thinks you were a jerk. I feel like you're the a-hole, but not the type of a-hole that's trying to be insidious. In fact, the description of the picture you made and sent to her had me in literal tears from laughing so hard. We share the same sense of humor, that's for sure. That being said, you should be more sensitive towards your pregnant sister, and you should respect her choices. If your logic is that this baby will get teased for their name, it's poor logic. I have a very average, normal name. But when I was 11, a movie came out that had my name in the title, and so I got teased relentlessly, only because of this particular movie. I will disagree with everyone else and say not the a-hole. I think she's the a-hole for naming him a stupid name that everyone will laugh at behind her back and in his face when he's at school. Someone needed to tell her the truth. She'll get over being mad and either change the name or keep it. If she keeps it, the poor thing will have a lifetime of explaining to do. Maybe he'll go by his middle name, if that isn't stupid like his first name. Maybe she needs to have Sherlock be his middle name. It's a truly horrible name for a kid. My boyfriend is pretty mad at his parents over this, but some of his siblings and his parents think I was the jerk. So here we are. I, 29 female, am a pro boxer, though probably in the last year or two of actively competing now. My boyfriend, 35 male, is really supportive of my career and is a total gem. We live on the opposite coast from his family, and he has had a pretty sour relationship with his dad for years, so I've never met them. Over the last year, though, his parents have been making efforts to patch things up, so when he mentioned that we were going to be in a nearby city to them for one of my matches, they wanted to get together for a family dinner. I was actually kind of excited about it. I don't have family, and his family is huge, so I always wondered what that was like. We originally tried to schedule the dinner for before the match, because I look a mess for a couple days after a match sometimes. But they had a conflict, so it was set up for a couple days after before we flew out to give me some recovery time. I actually didn't get that badly banged up, but there's just no hiding face bruises and cuts. My boyfriend already gave the parents a heads up about what to expect, but I don't think they took it seriously. We get there and his mom looks really uncomfortable, and his dad is just like staring at me. Some of his siblings and their families were there, and I get mobbed by the nieces and nephews who all had about a million questions, and that's where I might have messed up. I told them about boxing and showed them a video on my phone of part of my fight, so they would understand why I looked hurt and assured them I was fine. It evidently impressed the hell out of a couple of the nieces, because they spent the entire dinner asking me questions, and were kind of amazed that girls can do stuff like that. His dad tried to shift the conversation several times, and got pretty annoyed about it, and then said it was good I was thinking about retiring and getting on with a real life soon, and I would have time to get a household together and start a family with boyfriend. I told him that at most I would shift into being a trainer, and I've already got the life I want. His mom made a comment about it being a shame I was bruising up my pretty face, and I joked that this was my winner face. She should see the other woman. The whole thing was just uncomfortable and weird, except for the kids and one of his sisters. When we got home, boyfriend checked his texts and immediately called and yelled at his parents. He found out later that his mom told him I was really inappropriate and a bad influence on the kids. One of his brothers asked if he was going to bring Barbarian Barbie back for Christmas because his kids were bouncing off the walls. But his cool sister told him their daughter was already asking when Auntie OP was coming back. It really has caused a major problem between my boyfriend and his parents, and I'm wondering if I should have just kept the boxing stuff to myself. Barbarian Barbie sounds like a pretty great name to me. In any case, not the a-hole. Your boyfriend gave the family a heads up, and still decided to move the dinner from before your fight to after. You have nothing to be ashamed about. I feel bad for some of those kids, though. It must suck having such narrow-minded, stifling parents and grandparents. Not the a-hole. Yours is an unusual profession, so lots of questions are to be expected. But you certainly were not a bad influence. Just the opposite. You are a good role model, in my opinion. You're an athlete and a winner. How does this make you a bad influence on little girls? I'm proud as hell of you. You have a career and a real life right now, and you don't need to meet any absurd expectations about feminine grace, poise, and beauty. Has your boyfriend's mom ever seen photos of Layla Ali in the ring? Bad chicks are all girl. Period. At any rate, not the a-hole. Why hide your light under some prehistoric bushel? That's silly to me. Live your life and enjoy the life you're living.